Welcome, everyone. I'm Yvonne Davis, author, astrologer, and life transformation coach. And this is my channel where I do general astrology and political astrology. So today I wanted to do a video and cover the topics of Mars in Sagittarius and Uranus moving direct, and then all the planets direct. And I've also been wanting to talk about abundance. So I was thinking there's an abundance of energy, so I'm going to bring in the subject of abundance. So let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the chart. Okay, so this is Uranus direct. This is going to happen just like 6 hours after the lunar eclipse. I'm laughing because, you have to understand, as an astrologer, this is the most exciting event I've ever seen in my lifetime, astrologically. And I don't know if I'll ever see anything like this again in my lifetime. And it's historic. I've been saying before that this compares to the alignments 500 years ago. So that's phenomenal. And so as an astrologer, it's a very exciting time. And while, yes, it may bring some disturbances because of the fact that there's such massive energy here, including the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, which happens 2 days after the eclipse. So it's basically part of the eclipse. And all the planets going direct. And Uranus, going direct on the very day of the eclipse. It's mind-boggling for an astrologer. And that's why, we're just bubbling with excitement. And obviously, a lot of people are talking about the challenges as well. So I don't want to downplay the fact that a lot of people are going through a lot of really, really difficult experiences. And things are in play that we don't fully understand the final impact. And I think that, I'm talking specifically about what Trump is doing. So, but I'm going to cover that in a different video. So for now, this is just a general reading, taking the moment of Uranus direct on January 10th at 6:49 p.m. Like I said, that's about 6 hours after the eclipse is exact. So what do we see going on here to begin with? We see that Uranus is at the top of the chart, which I find interesting because it's not only that all the energy is out there moving forward, moving direct, it's also all at the top of the chart, because that's the way that energy works. Is when a planet is direct, its energy is flowing outward, forward into the future. Whereas when a planet is retrograde, it's moving inward and backward into the past. So a retrograde energy is all about turning inward, returning to the past, moving into a retreat, releasing. The movement is like this way with a retrograde planet. Everything, all the energy and everything is moving this way, inward, backward, releasing, rethinking, reconsidering. It's it's a yin energy. But when the planets are moving direct, it's an outward, forward, future type of movement. And it's very extroverted. So that's another way to think about it, that retrograde planets are introverted while direct planets are extroverted. The energy is very much pouring outward into the world, outward and forward. Very extroverted, very yang energy, very masculine energy. And so I do find it interesting that Uranus is turning direct. It was the last planet to go direct. Now all the planets are direct. And it's happening at the same time as the eclipse, at the same time as the Pluto-Saturn conjunction, at the same time that Mars just recently moved into Sagittarius. The energy is so forward moving. It's so masculine in its nature, so yang in its nature. And, you know, that's why on some level we may feel overwhelmed by it. But the point of astrology is consciousness expansion, to understand what is happening in a way that we can wrap our minds around it and we can see how to work with the energy. So in this chart, I'm starting with, this is mountain time. I'm in Grand Junction, Colorado. So the truth is, in a different place on the earth, the placements would be, the planets are in the same position, but the placement in terms of would it be at the top of the chart, that might be different. But here, mountain time, it's at the top of the chart. So Uranian energy is like, it's an excellent name for the planet, because if you think about uranium, you know, like the nuclear power of uranium, that I think is a good way to think about Uranus. Uranus is like nuclear power. It's all about higher technology and futuristic technology and the mind. And, you know, it's like flashes of energy, electricity, lightning bolts, earthquakes. It just wants to blow things up in a sense. It's very shocking and surprising and very disturbing energy. But it can be used for good, you know, for we need to turn things upside down. We need chaos in our lives. That's its purpose, is to stir things up. But it doesn't have to be destructive. Sometimes the earth will be destructive, as in the tsunami that hit the Fukushima power plant. That was Uranus moving from Pisces into Aries. It happened on the exact same day. So that was an example of Uranus creating a disturbance in the earth. But for us human beings, because we're conscious beings and we have choice, we can learn how to use this energy productively. It's making a quincunx to Mars in Sagittarius. And Mars is a fire sign and also obviously a masculine sign. It's got that yang energy, fiery warrior energy moving outward into the world. And so in the sign of Sagittarius, which is also a fire sign, you get the double fire. So, and also Sagittarius is a very extroverted sign. So Mars in Sagittarius is ready to go. Mars in Sagittarius wants to get some work done. So it's very, very active energy. And so the combination of Uranus direct and Mars direct in Sagittarius and all the planets direct is that we can almost feel, and I guess I should add also Venus in Aquarius. And they're making, Uranus and Taurus is making a mutual reception to Venus in Aquarius because they've traded signs. That's called a mutual reception. So with Venus and Uranus, the Venus energy is expressing itself in a Uranian way. So this energy is just so incredibly forward moving and exuberant and ready to, you know, like a horse at a racing gate. It is ready to bust free. And so we want to think about how to use this energy productively, not destructively. So first is just to simply understand, what does Mars in Sagittarius feel like? Like I said, Mars is a very yang, masculine, warrior, fiery energy, and it's in a sign that is a fire sign and a very extroverted sign. So it very much wants to take action and move forward out into the world. Very extroverted, very action oriented. But if you get too much of that energy, it can feel a little bit destabilizing, like anxiety, you know. You could even literally feel your body shaking with it, depending on how you're able to process and channel this kind of powerful energy. And I'm talking about all the planets, not just Mars, not just Uranus. I mean, the whole combination, the fact that all of the planets are direct, the particular signs that they're in, the fact that this is happening at a full moon eclipse, which magnifies things to begin with, the fact that we're experiencing Saturn-Pluto conjunction at the same time. So the energy is very intense and may be hard to process, but that's our work, okay? That's the work of human beings on planet Earth right now, is to learn how to expand our consciousness such that we can be productive channels for this energy. So as I was saying, I was thinking about the topic of abundance, and this chart is like massively abundant energy. So it makes us think about abundance. How do we work with abundant energy in a creative, productive way? What does abundance mean anyway? And so I think the way to think about it is, I was talking about in another video, and I need to discipline myself to put cards up above, because sometimes I'll mention something in another video and then I get so busy that I don't go back and put the cards in, but I really need to do that. So I'll make that a goal, a priority to get that done. So if you don't see it, because I don't always do it right away when I release the video, just go and look in my videos and find, I think it was the manifestation video, 2020 astrology manifestation. And in that video, I was talking about my altar. Let's see if you can see it over there behind me. I don't have the candle lit right now, but I had put some things there just to remind me of what my focus is for the year. And I do think that that's always so important, is for us to have clarity about the direction and focus of our lives, because we are naturally creative beings, and we're manifesting and creating all the time. There's literally no moment that we aren't manifesting and creating, even as we're sleeping. It's simply who and what we are. We are creative manifesting beings. You don't even have to set intention, because the universe is reading you all the time. Every single second, the universe is reading you, saying, what does Yvonne want? What does Yvonne want? And if I say, let's see, if I have a story. So let's get into abundance. What is abundance? Abundance is not necessarily an outward manifestation. We think that's what it means, and I think that's because there's a lot of misconception around, because of the New Age movement, that abundance is external to us, but it's actually not. It's internal. You always have to start with the internal, and then the external is a manifestation of the internal. So abundance is internal. So abundance is our connection to providence. So abundance is the natural state of the universe, okay? And we have access to that 24/7 if we're open to it. If we open our channel to receive abundance, So abundance is there, okay? It can come in because abundance is just the nature of the universe. It's divinity. Divinity itself is abundance, providence, spirit, whatever you want to call it. The word itself doesn't matter. It's the energy. It's the energy of unconditional love. It's the energy of abundance. It's the universe itself. It's providence. It everything we need is available to us right now, right this instant. And so it's all about whether or not we're open to receiving it and that our channel is open to receiving it. So that's the work we do, but we do it internally, okay? We work on what's called dusting the link to spirit. That's cleaning the channel, straightening the channel, clearing the channel, balancing the channel, because we have the vortexes through our chakras and they need to be balanced. Open, clear, healthy, strong, balanced. That's the channel for the energy to come through. So the energy is available every single second for eternity, infinity. Abundance, eternity, infinity, universe, spirit, love, providence, divine intelligence, whatever you want to call it, it's all the same thing, and it's all there always, instantly. And it's simply whether or not our channel is open to receiving it and clear enough to receive the energy as it comes through. And can we bring it into manifestation? So we do the inner work in order to make that happen. It's all about the inner, not the outer. So when you think about abundance, and I was telling the story in my 2020 astrology manifestation video about how I was having, I was thinking about a conversation with my mom, and because we had been talking about money and filing taxes, and I said to her that over the years I had learned to trust providence. I had learned to have faith and trust in providence, that my needs would always be met. And I totally felt it 100%. It wasn't like I was trying to convince myself. It was just, this is reality for me, and that's it. And within less than 60 seconds, as I was walking down the sidewalk, I saw a strange color, green color in the snow, because I'm in Colorado, and I was walking to the grocery store. And I looked closer, and there was $60 in the snow. And it was, of course, all wet, but there was nothing and no one around. So it's not like, someone had just dropped it. It had possibly been there for a couple of days. Because I'm thinking, maybe somebody had a little too much to drink on New Year's Eve and then it snowed. So, and then the sun was peeking out, and there it was, like, peeking out of the snow. And I just happened to walk by, but I was struck by the synchronicity of the event. And because my consciousness lives very much in the archetypal level of consciousness. That means that everything's connected. I don't live in a linear space-time reality. Sometimes I do, because my mind can sometimes get contracted too, just like any other person's mind. But really, I'm always striving for that archetypal consciousness, where I'm connected to abundance, where I'm connected to synchronicity, where I'm connected to my intuition, and keeping the third eye open and letting that energy flow through to guide me. So yes, there is meaning in the fact that I was having that thought and that feeling, and then just a few seconds later, there was the money right there, and there was no evidence of previous ownership. So it was for me. It was a gift for me. And so that's an example of manifestation. But the thing about it was that I didn't ask for that. Like, I didn't intentionally ask for that, but rather it it's like I was saying, we're manifesting all the time. And that's what I want you to think about with this, with the energies of, with the astrological energies right now, is it's like the universe is saying, full steam ahead, all green lights. If there's something that you want to, if you want to create something in your life, this is the time to do it, especially the first 4 months of the year. Because in mid-May, we will have a Venus and then a Mercury retrograde. We'll have a very short 3-week period in the second half of February and early March, just 3 weeks of Mercury retrograde. But to me, that feels like such a small glitch. I think just think about the first 4 months up until mid-May. It's full steam ahead, all green lights. If there's anything you want to do or create in your life, this is the time to do it in this first 4 months. Because later in the year, we'll have Venus retrograde, Mercury retrograde, Mars retrograde, and of course the other outer planets will go retrograde. So, but we really only need to be concerned about the first 3, the inner planets. But the first 4 months of this year are the time to go out into the world, connect with people, meet people, initiate projects, do whatever you want to do, create whatever you want to create. This is the time to do it. Initiate it now. Don't wait until Venus goes retrograde in mid-March. Do it now. One thing I will say about the eclipse is the eclipse can bring unexpected changes, especially with Uranus direct. But that to me is different than setting intentions, because the fact is we are manifesting all the time, every second of our lives, 24/7. And the reason we're manifesting 24/7 and why it's important to be clear about intentions, like virtually 24/7, is because if the universe hears me say, because it knows my energy, it can read my energy, and it knows that I trust abundance and providence, it showed me, it gave me a message that reflected back the truth of my reality. So if you have thoughts, if you're in a scarcity paradigm, you're going to experience scarcity. If you're in abundance paradigm, you're going to experience abundance, because it's about what's happening internally, not externally. The external is simply a reflection of what's happening internally. So what happens when you experience some kind of scarcity? And so I have a story about that as well. So just recently, my dad had sent me some money as a combination birthday Christmas present, because I'm Sagittarius, so my birthday is in December. And he sent a card with a $200 check. So it went to my P.O. box, which is in Denver, but I'm in Grand Junction. So while I was traveling, I had my mail forwarded to a friend in Denver and asked him if and left a deposit slip with him and asked him if he would open the letter and take the check to the bank, because we have the same bank. And he said yes, he would do that. So I was waiting, a month, and nothing ever happened. And my dad said he sent it. My friend said it never arrived. I tried to call the post office, and they were busy because of the Christmas season. So finally, I did get a hold of them on Friday and asked if they could look at my box, and sure enough, it was sitting in the box. But I didn't want to drive all the way to Denver. So I asked them to go ahead and forward it, so it'll go to my friend and he can put it in the bank. And that was Friday morning, and now it's Monday and still nothing. And it only had to go it's like a 20-minute drive between the post office and my friend's house. How can that take, this long, from Friday morning to Monday? How can it take so long? I don't know. But what was interesting about this, and this speaks to the idea of abundance, is that I'm starting, it started like it triggered me, and it started to move me into scarcity and fear. And then I'm perplexed. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. I'm super triggered about this. Um, it's upsetting me. Um, it's, what is this? What's going on here? Not just upset, but like anxiety and fear is arising. I'm getting really down, like it's pulling me down into this kind of depressive mood. And I'm like, what is going on? My budget does not, you know, rise or collapse on $200. And besides, it's like, this is once a year. It's like if it happened, like if this was March, not expecting any money to arrive, so I wouldn't be upset. It's purely in my mind. The money, it's not about the money. And so I was trying to understand what is triggering me around this. And I realized it goes back to, it's a very, very old wound that goes back to childhood. And it's around powerlessness. And that is, like you might say, that's my soul print, my karma. um I If I were to show you my chart, you would see, the wound there in the chart, and it was activated in childhood. That is the core wound that I take with me through my life, that I work with over and over and over again. And it's about powerlessness. So it had nothing to do with the money, had nothing to do with my dad or my friend or even the post office. It's none of that. It's triggering my core wound around powerlessness. The gift in this, and I hope that you're able to see all the connections between what's happening astrologically, how we use the energy, and understanding something about abundance. How is it that on one day I can be walking down the street saying I have faith and trust in providence, and sure enough, a few seconds later, there's $60 poking out of the out of the snow. And then another day, about a week later, I'm getting seriously triggered around this money. And that is not, again, it's not, I know it's not about the money, because I can look objectively at my finances, and I know that, I've had many, many times where I mean, I remember a time uh, in the early days of becoming self-employed where I had to live for 2 weeks with about 73 cents in my bank account. And I was not even this triggered. So I know it has nothing to do with money. Again, it goes back to the powerlessness. But the gift in this, and this is the thing to understand about how to use this energy and how it relates to abundance, the gift is in consciousness expansion. Because I know the steps, okay? And this is what, if you want consciousness expansion, if you want empowerment, if you want to use astrology to empower yourself, the key is understanding how to work with the energy to reach consciousness expansion. That's how we empower ourselves. That's the philosopher's stone that turns the lead into gold. Consciousness, awareness is the philosopher's stone that turns lead into gold. So the lead was that I was getting triggered because I have lead. I have a wound in me, okay? A wound from childhood around powerlessness. And that wound was getting triggered. It has nothing to do with external circumstances. I'm not in a desperate position. $200 is, it's a nice, yeah, sure, it's nice, but that's not, again, it's not going to have a major impact in my life. Um, I can get by just fine as I do every month. So that's not the issue. It's not the people. It's not the money. It's not even the situation itself. It's nothing. And yet somehow all of that is poking that wound in me, and I'm triggered. And all of a sudden It's like I can feel myself getting upset. And it feels so out of sort with my actual physical external reality that I'm just like, what in the world is this about? I don't get it at all. I don't even know where this is coming from. But then I listen, you know, first thing I say is, wow, I feel really out of sorts. I feel angry, frustrated. I feel sad, even sort of depressed. Um, I feel scared and anxious. And it's like, I'm perfectly safe here. Nothing's gone wrong. What is all this about? And then I know, okay, wait, I'm triggered about something. What happened recently that could have triggered me? Then I'm like, oh yeah, I I checked again my email, checked the bank account because I thought if my friend had received the check, he would have at least, or the card, he would at least said so in email, or maybe he just put it in the night depository and I can check my account. Nothing. And and then I remember, oh yeah, okay, so after I checked both of those things, that's when I started to feel really sort of like my mood really started to come down. I started to feel the anxiety and the anger and then kind of really like, like my mood just kept getting lower and lower and lower. And I was really in the dumps. I noticed the connection. First this happened and then that happened. So I know that that's what triggered me because I had seen it happen on another day too before I got a hold of the post office, where I talked to both my dad and my friend, and I just could not figure out why it wasn't showing up. And I noticed my mood went down again. I was feeling the same things I just described. And so that's the trigger. That's how you know you're triggered. And for consciousness expansion, you have to train yourself. And there are ways to train. Nonviolent communication is the best I've ever encountered that will train you to be able to identify your feelings, to name them, to give yourself empathy, then to remind yourself that you are triggered. It's not about the external reality. And that's what I've been trying to say about the politics too. If we think we're scared because of Donald Trump, we're confusing the origin of fear. Every single emotion is internal. It's a reflection of our inner reality. It's absolutely not a reflection of the outer reality. And you can know that because if you've ever spent time away from the news, like me, I go into the mountains for long periods of time for solitude and retreat. That's what I do at the cabin. That's what I do when I'm camping. And I can give you so many examples of that, not just my own experience, but other experiences of people who've removed themselves from civilization for maybe weeks at a time, even months at a time, and have no awareness of what's happening in the world. I just read a memoir called Solitude by Robert Cole, and he was living alone on a Patagonian island for a year and had absolutely no knowledge of 9/11 until he returned months later. And so what you learn from that is the realization that the event itself is not like he didn't know about 9/11 and had zero impact on him. It was non-existent. He was having experiences with his immediate environment on that island. So it wasn't the event, okay? It's our perception of the event, and that's internal. And that is why people meditate and do spiritual practices and strive for equanimity, because it's the awareness that reality is internal. And when we learn how to own our perceptions, then we understand that we can also change our internal experience. That fear is internal, not external. Nothing can make you feel anything. We've been taught that the external makes you feel things. And we've been taught it so well. And this is part of a domination culture. They've taken away our power to create our own reality because they've made us believe we have no power. They've made us believe we have no power to create a reality, that we have no power over our emotions. We have no power over how we perceive reality. And boy, they are playing a number on us big time, absolute big time. The media, the politicians. I won't say it's government because government is made of a lot of different people working together. And some of them are really, really good people, good, honest people of integrity. So it's not the government, it's individual people. And I wouldn't even say it's the media in general. Media is just a tool. It's just a channel for, for an expression of information. It's how people use those tools. It's how people distort and use them for power over. And so the whole idea is that if you can control the way people think and feel, you can control how they behave. And that's the key. Okay. So and I mentioned this before in one of I did a series of 3 videos. Again, I'll make an effort to put links up above, or you can find links at the end of the video. But the point is that if you're coming to these videos because you want me to tell you that Donald Trump will be removed from office through the impeachment trial, that he will resign, or that he will die, or that he won't get elected in 2020, I can't tell you that. Not because I know it won't happen, but because I don't know. Okay? I can read the energy in the charts, and I can tell you where the challenges are coming from, where the energy is flowing well, where power is exploding, where power is crumbling. I can tell you those things. But unless I get a screaming message from my intuition about something that is definitely going to happen in the future, like when I predicted the impeachment, I'm not going to say for a fact, yes, this is going to happen, because I don't know. And I'm not going to, I have to be authentic, That's the whole message here. How could I talk about people in the government, politicians, media, people in the media, controlling our reality the way that we think and feel to get power over us if I'm doing the same thing to you? Because that's what I'd be doing. I'd be lying. I'd be inauthentic. I'd be expressing an inauthentic truth for me. I'd be inauthentic and lying to you, not because I know what's going to happen or don't know what's going to happen, but because what I believe deep in my being, that when I hear my intuition, I can speak it to you. When I don't hear it, I can only read the chart and tell you where I think the energies are flowing. That's the best I can do. That's the authentic truth. That's integrity. And for me to do anything else, I would be the same as Fox News. I would be the same as Donald Trump. And it's not just on the right. The left does it too, about putting out fear, about telling us what reality is. I would be doing the same thing to you for power over, to get you to come to my channel so that I can tell you what you want to hear, to make you feel safe so you can sleep at night. And I really, really need to get clear on this message because that is the crux of it. And I find it interesting that I feel the need to say this at this very moment I'm recording this on January 7th. The eclipse, the full moon eclipse, is only 3 days away. And then the total perfection of the Pluto-Saturn conjunction and Uranus direct, all of it happening within such a short period of time. And I feel compelled to speak as authentically and honestly as I can about what I am trying, the message I am trying to convey with my channel, which is all about authenticity, truth, integrity, consciousness expansion, and power. I want to empower you. You're the one in control of how you feel safe or don't feel safe. Donald Trump is not in control. Donald Trump actually does not have power over you unless you give him that power. So I'll probably continue to talk about this because I think this is fundamentally what these alignments are about. And it is a massive awakening. We are on the verge of an absolute massive awakening. And it's my choice to be true to that awakening, and it's your choice to be true to that awakening. And so, and I do think it's so interesting that, after I put out some of those videos that were more on the general astrology and about consciousness expansion, how to work with the energy, and that I wasn't going to go around telling people, Donald Trump's going to die. You don't have to worry about it. He's going to resign. You don't have to worry about it. He's going to get removed from office. You don't have to worry about it. And he definitely won't get elected in 2020. So you don't have to worry about it. And then suddenly I noticed that, like, people dropping off my channel. And yeah, sure, I feel it. I'm human, so I feel it as a little bit of a rejection. And then I remind myself, hey, that's what happens. When you live in integrity, when you get authentic and honest with yourself and with other people and your expression with the world, oh yeah, there'll be people who's like, goodbye, or if they don't just walk away, they will try to beat you into submission. And so anyway, that I think is the ultimate message of these alignments and how to use them. And so let's go back and look at that chart again. So yeah, that's the message of these powerful, powerful alignments and how to use this energy for consciousness expansion and empowerment. I mean, if you want to know why should I care about consciousness expansion? Well, POWER, power. If you want power in your world, and in my opinion, power and abundance are the same thing. If you want power in your world, if you want abundance in your life, consciousness expansion. Because again, it had nothing to do with that $200, had nothing to do with my dad, my friend, the post office, absolutely nothing. It was in my consciousness. The fear, the scarcity, the depressed mood, the anxiety, the frustration, the anger, all of that had nothing to do with the externals. I mean, think about it. Abundance is flowing to me all the time. I've been self-employed for 10 years, actually longer than that now. I'm going on, let's see, this is 2020. So yeah, I'm going on 11 years now, fully self-employed. And I have not had a full-time permanent job since I was laid off. Oh gosh, it's 12 years now. I was laid off. I worked for CBS. And just after the 2008 recession, they started laying people off. And I was in the third wave of layoffs. And that was in early February 2009. So is that 9? Yeah, I guess that's 11 years. Have not had a full-time permanent job since then, because I knew it. I knew even before that, but I was so clear. I was like, I cannot go back to that. It's not who I am. So, so I was determined to find my own way. And abundance flows to me all the time in totally unexpected ways. I have no idea how I'm going to pay my bills from month to month, but they tend to come from, some reliable sources, sometimes completely unexpected, like finding $60 in the snow. But obviously, I do make money as an astrologer, but in many other ways too. Um, I had an experience that I also mentioned in one of my videos. I think it was maybe a year and a half ago or so, about my dad. He's retired. He likes to go gamble a little bit on a dog track, and he won $25,000. So he gave me some money. It's things like that. Like, there was no way I could have known that was going to happen. I have no idea how many people will request readings from me from month to month. And so if you ask me, how am I going to pay my bills next month? I have no idea, I mean, I can make some guesses, like I'm expecting a tax refund. Um, I continue to work my astrology business, so I have some idea, but maybe the reason why that check has been held up is because I don't need it right now. Maybe a month from now I'll really need it, and then all of a sudden the money will appear. Like it'll get unlost from the mail. Or my dad will say, you know what, forget that check, I'll just send you another one. So I don't know why that money hasn't arrived, but I think it doesn't matter. When I'm in my my true consciousness, I know it doesn't matter. When I'm in my wounded consciousness, I think it matters. That's the difference in perception. That's how we create abundance. That's how we manifest abundance. It's not about what's happening externally. It's not about will the money show up or not show up. That's not what matters. What matters is, can I stay in the energy of abundance and trust and faith? Do I know that I have it within me? For years, I used to, when people ask me, what do you do for a living? I used to say, I'm learning to walk on water. And that was the best way I could describe it. It's like, I'm literally, well, I want to use the word literally because I want to emphasize how accurate that description is. I am learning to walk on water. That's what I do for a living. So if you're interested, like if you really want to hear, what does astrology have to offer? What does astrology have to offer you? It's not about, can it tell me if Donald Trump is going to resign? That's not what it's really about. It can help. I look at it too because I like to see what's coming in the future. But the real purpose of astrology is consciousness expansion in order to empower yourself so that you can manifest abundance, so that you can learn how to walk on water. That's what it's about. So again, it's a very, there's a lot of pieces that have to come together for us to truly understand what this chart that you're looking at right now, what is this really all about? And before this video gets too long and even more complicated, I hope that I at least brought enough of the pieces together that you can really get what this is about, okay? It's not about, are we going to go to war? I will do another video because I have committed myself to helping you to get some clues about the future. And I'm sharing that information with you because I look at it myself. That's why I started studying astrology to begin with, because I wanted to know what's coming in the future. And I think that's what you want to know too, to help us reduce our anxiety about the future. But ultimately, it's really about consciousness expansion and empowering ourselves through consciousness expansion. And that's what these alignments are about. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop there. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, click like on this video, share with friends and family and on social media, ring the bell for notifications, and check out my website if you want a reading. The link is below, or you can email me if you have questions at admin@yvonnedavis.com. So just questions for readings. Other questions go in the comments below. All right, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.